Hello everyone, welcome to another lecture of general medicine where I make a dreadful, difficult, boring topic easy to learn. And for that, I shall be referring to this Mind Maps book for general medicine by Medi. This book is very effective and very easy to understand than the boring books we used to read in our college times, because this book contains every topic in a very graphical manner, wherein each topic has a flowchart-like situation going on with the center of the topic present in the center, and around that there are radiating headings in which you can learn the topic in like a story form. Also, it helps you memorize the topic like a story rather than being haphazard as it is usually present in the books. So let's get into the lecture for today, which is measles. So what is measles? How does it happen? How does it present? So measles is also known as rubeola, not rubella. Just differentiate it from rubella correctly. It's a highly contagious viral disease and 90% of individuals exposed do get infected. Mode of transmission is human to human via droplet infection, and it is commonly seen in children, especially who have not been given vaccination properly. The characteristic features over here is that the measles virus is of the Paramyxoviridae family. It's an RNA virus, has an incubation stage of 6 to 21 days until the prodromal symptoms appear. So incubation period is something where the organism enters the body and is not producing any symptom right now. It's creating its base in the body like a home, and then it is going to produce all the symptoms, which is the prodromal or the key symptoms of that infection. The period of infectivity is from 4 days before and 4 days after the onset of the rash. So a rash is going to be produced, and 4 days before the rash and 4 days after is the highly infective stage wherein any contact with anyone can transfer the infection. So what is the pathophysiology of this disease and how does it transfer or get infected? So what happens is that if one person has it, so it infects 90% of the nearby non-immune people, maybe via cough, maybe via sneeze. It stays up to 2 hours in the air surface and stays potent. So inhaled virus is taken by the patient and from the droplets infects the respiratory tract of the uninfected person. From the lungs, this virus is taken to local lymph nodes because the body is going to track it and treat it locally itself so that it does not produce any widespread damage in the body. Due to that, there is spread to adjacent lymphoid tissue, which leads to dissemination through the bloodstream. Now it has entered the blood. This leads to prodromal phase, wherein the virus depresses the host immunity and leads to secondary bacterial infections because the virus takes over the body's immune system. The immune system cannot combat against the virus anymore, and the virus runs the cells now. So this can lead to infection of the lung tissue, intestines, brain, and all other organ systems of the body. So when the patient gets infected by the measles virus, the respiratory tract is the first one to be involved. But what all clinical features can happen later on? So firstly, there is generalized maculopapular rash. So it's like a maculo and a papillar rash. Erythematous macules usually start from behind the ears, along the neck and the hairline. And then they progress towards the face, trunk, arms by 4th day. So it is going downwards from behind the neck towards the arms and the trunk. The pathognomic feature which is present in measles is Koplik spots. What are Koplik spots? They are bluish-white dot lesions, 1 mm in diameter, surrounded by erythema. So the bluish-white center is going to be surrounded by erythema and the diameter is going to be 1 mm only. Rash is usually present above the lower second molar. So you're going to view these in the oral cavity around the second molar, and this is a pathognomic sign for measles being present. Other than these spots, what are the features which you must look out for are the 3 C's or the 3C triad along with fever. So fever is going to be present because obviously there is infection. The 3 C's which are involved are cough, coryza, and conjunctivitis. So cough is going to be present because obviously the respiratory tract is involved. Coryza is basically running nose. Inflammation is happening in the respiratory tract itself, and nose is something which is going to be affected as the first point of entry. And lastly, conjunctivitis, because there's going to be inflammation and spread of the virus in all over the body. So 3 C's associated with measles are cough, coryza, and conjunctivitis along with fever. These are the 4 prodromal symptoms which will be present, that is the clinical features, besides the pathognomic sign which is Koplik spots. Now there's going to be increasing viral replication which triggers the chronic immunity or the delayed response, and humoral immunity is present, which forms the IgM, IgG antibodies, and that can lead some recovery in future, but not just right now when the active stage of the infection is present. Now, after we know what the disease looks like, we need to know how to come to a confirmatory diagnosis or how to form the diagnosis. For investigations, we do the complete blood count, wherein the blood count of the patient is checked for, because that is going to show an increased ESR, increased CRP because of infection. Maybe WBC cells can be decreased, leukopenia can happen, or it can increase if the viral load is being combated. Electrolytes are measured for, serology is checked because the measles viral specific IgM antibodies will be positive. PCR test can be done to amplify the RNA of the virus and detect which virus is present and how much quantity. So detection of the virus through RNA specimens can also be done. Now, after we've come to a confirmatory diagnosis that yes, it is a case of measles, we need to treat the patient adequately and timely to prevent any complications. For that, the first is that there is no specific antiviral therapy for this disease. Only supportive therapy can be given. For that, first is adequate hydration and administration of antipyretic agents, because that is going to decrease the fever. Then vitamin A supplementation is done because that is thought to boost the immunity of the body and decrease the virus load. Also, it decreases the severity of the inflammation, especially in children. So 2 lakh units can be given for 2 consecutive days to all the children who are at the age of more than 12 months. And for children at less than 12 months, that is 6 to 12 months of age, 1 lakh units are given. And anyone for less than 6 months of age, only 50,000 units are given. So the units range from 50,000, 1 lakh and 2 lakh. 50,000 is for anyone less than 6 months, then is 6 to 12 months, and lastly is for more than 12 months. So this is how the units are decided as to how much vitamin A supplementation must be given. And lastly, treatment of any specific secondary infection can be done as and when it happens. If the immunity is less, virus is more, there are going to be secondary bacterial infections also, which can be treated accordingly and antibiotic coverage can be given for them. Now, how to prevent this disease is similar to mumps, that is by MMR vaccine. So MMR vaccination is given for measles, mumps, and rubella, which is given in 2 doses. First is at 12 to 15 months and second is at 4 years. It is not given in pregnancy and immunocompromised children because it is a live attenuated vaccine and not an inactive one. Now, if the disease is not treated correctly, adequately, and timely, what are the complications which can happen for this one? First and the foremost is pneumonia. Since respiratory tract is involved, there can be fluid accumulation, which is the most common cause of death in these patients. Besides that, there can be laryngotracheobronchitis, wherein the whole of the respiratory tract is inflamed because virus affects the tract. There can be secondary bacterial infection like otitis media and post-measles encephalomyelitis, which is of the neural system. So all these complications can happen if the treatment is not performed adequately. Now, this is a basic layout of what measles is all about. This is something you can use to write all your university answers and answer your Viva questions. But beyond that, if you want to prepare for NEET, I'm sure this is not enough. You want something extra. And for that, you must refer to the resource which is called as the Beyond the Mind Map resources. So these resources are available on the app of Medi Study Go. Just check it out right now on the iOS App Store or the Android Play Store. Download it, open the topic of measles, and you will view Beyond the Mind Maps right over there. What it covers are certain questions which have been asked in the past from this topic right here. The information which I have not covered just now is going to be present over there. For example, if you want to study in detail about the Koplik spots, let's do that. So Koplik spots are basically small, red, irregular lesions present on the buccal mucosa, often with a grain of a salt white center. So they are lesions which are red with a whitish center like a grain of salt, and that is pathognomic for measles, meaning their presence alone is the final diagnosis. It appears 1 to 2 days before the skin rash and fades 1 to 2 days after the rash erupts. It is an early diagnostic clue before the actual skin rash appears. So this is something diagnostic for you, because if the doctor sees that yes, Koplik spot is present, means the patient is getting to the infective stage or to the prodromal stage for the measles. Exactly where to look for the Koplik spots? It is best seen on the buccal mucosa at the opening of the parotid duct, which is the Stenson duct opposite the upper second molar. It is not seen on the soft palate, floor of mouth, or the dorsum of the tongue. So the location is also fixed. Now, do not confuse it with other oral spots. For example, Koplik spots are seen in measles, but Forsheimer spots are seen in rubella on the soft palate, and strawberry tongue is seen in scarlet fever or Kawasaki disease. So these all are also oral lesions, can be potential questions. Maybe you can get a question, which of these is not seen on the buccal mucosa, or which of these is a characteristic feature seen on the buccal mucosa, and all these lesions can be present. Koplik spot, Forsheimer, strawberry tongue. And now you will need to differentiate which answer is correct and which is not. And that is going to happen only if you read these pointer points and easily answer the question. Other than this, you can also view other information for beyond the mind maps, like the information about the virus, which is affecting this disease, which is leading to this disease, and how it progresses. You can learn about its incubation time, as the measles has an incubation of 10 days compared to rubella being 18, compared to mumps being 15 to 20. So whenever you're reading these viral infections, just read the M, M, and R together, because that is going to make your task much easy. After you've done all this reading, what's important to wrap up a topic? You've gained all the information. How do you know that you've gained it? By solving some questions. So the last step for your preparation must be solving some questions. And to solve some questions, you have two formats. One is flashcard and second is MCQ. Flashcard is one question, one answer. No choices, just direct answer. For example, what is the rash pattern in measles? So the rash pattern is a descending one. It starts from face, spreads towards the neck, trunk, and then the limbs. Coming to an MCQ, measles virus is transmitted mainly by which route? So we've studied it as a respiratory tract infection which spreads by droplet infection. So that is the answer. If you just flip it over, you'll view the answer along with the explanation and also an explanation as to why other options are not the correct answer. I know, how cool is that? You can view all of this on the app of MediStudy Go, which is easily available for iOS as well as Android users. Download it on your phone or your iPad right now. Just open the app of MediStudy Go, open this topic, measles over there. You'll visualize the mind map which I just used, beyond the mind map information, and you can easily read it, solve the questions, even create some questions of your own and revise it on the go. If you found this video useful, don't forget to subscribe the YouTube channel of MediStudy Go. Keep watching for more of such videos and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.